Hey everybody, Brian here from quantlabs.net. Today I want to talk about something big that's happening in both the world of quant and high frequency trading. This week I caught a few big articles that really caught my eye. The first one is from the CFA Institute. Okay, so when the CFA is talking about something, you want to pay attention to it because majority of people out there in industry have a CFA. So what they're talking about here is rediscovering new trading ideas. And what's been happening is that HFT, high frequency trading, are now becoming the big losers. How do I know that? Well, I've been posting stuff on HFT. So if you do a recent search, we've got here DRW buys an HFT firm, RGM. HFT is getting a lot of problems in India. Why aren't they thriving? Virtue's consolidating. Rentec, the big one, they're asking their staff to take out loans against the medallion fund. And there's a lot of big, scary stuff going on in the world of HFT. Then, when we talk about further from there, they're talking about this new thing called Quant 2.0, the Quant comeback. If you come back to my Facebook group, if I just go into my my group here, some of the stories that I posted just today, lessons from the quant quake resonate a decade later. And I'm seeing a lot of this stuff. So what we know as a quant is radically changing. And what is changing in that? So from the CFA article came, quantitative funds have been relatively out of favor since the financial crisis. And there's a lot of reports saying that quant funds are underperforming against traditional fundamental value-based investing momentum and all that. So now, but there's a renewed hype that machine learning enabled AI will be able to develop fundamental trading ideas for individual stocks rather than simply taking advantage of arbitrage opportunities as previous quant strategies did. Although some may welcome this return, an article in the Financial Times raises the interesting point. Who will be on the losing side of this AI-enabled quant resurgence? So I'm not going to get into this, but I just want to highlight this. So if machine learning is going to be the next big thing, as it is, I personally don't know if it will become the panacea of the next generation of HFT and quant. But let's talk about at least the performance of it. So when we look at quant being a quant in the new era, I don't know what this is. It's just so much bullshit hype out there. I mean, it's crazy. So, but the interesting thing is that there's Redis. Redis 4, the new machine learning modules that are being written for Redis with high performance in mind. People don't know this, but Redis is completely open source, completely well documented, an amazing community, and a very simplistic set of code that you can look at written in C. Highly ingenious project that I've come across in years, and I've always come back to Redis, and now the new Redis 4 that I just put out, I think last month, is pretty exciting. So I just want to go over this. So the big feature of Redis 4 is modules, and it's a completely different design architecture level of, let's say, like for instance, Oracle or SQL Server. These databases are getting super bloated with all these features that most people don't want. So what I guess Salvatore did at Redis, he came up, I don't know who came up with the idea of these modules, but it's quite ingenious, where you have your core database, and if you want to add new functionality onto the database, you create modules that comply to a certain framework, and now you have a new feature set. So One of the new modules that are being developed are these machine learning modules. There's two of them. This is all open source. So the first one is developed by Anti-Res, which is Salvatore, who is one of the big founders, I guess, and created Redis. It's neural net Redis, and I'm by no means an expert in machine learning, but I feel pretty conviction is pretty high on this. I follow TensorFlow and I think it's great. Problem is, it's bloated. Okay, here what we're doing is we're enabling to have the equivalent of a filter sit on top of a database. So when you're pushing data in like a stream, you now have the ability to build out these modules in machine learning and be able to have them generate some kind of data set or result, something, let's say kind of a result, and combine it with other results no different than what do they call it, genetic algorithms, and combine they can derive a trading decision, let's say. So if you're able to do this in parallel, which you can pretty well do with Redis, it's a pretty powerful and very innovative and revolutionary way of looking at this. So, there's, as I said here, there's a warning. It's only alpha, but it just shows you the capabilities of this thing. And to have a filter sit on top of a database as data streaming, as I've shown in my various videos, and essentially what you're doing is you're taking your trading algorithm and putting it right on your database with high performance in mind. It's powerful. And I mentioned this a while back, but now I'm starting to see it as more ingenious ideas come out, and as the market changes towards machine learning, I wouldn't be surprised that Redis will become a very important part of this movement. And as far as I know, it is. If you watch the about a year ago when I was looking at the Open HFT project, the author of that project, the open source, when it was open source, they always come back to comparing Redis, performance of Redis, and that told me, well, industry of the HFT guys must be using Redis, but they're just not talking about it. So with that in mind, we have these now capabilities of these machine learning modules that can sit on top of your Redis data stream, kind of like an FPGA, but it's all virtual. Well, not virtual. It's all software. And the only thing that's hindering the performance of it is the hardware itself. So along comes this company called Redis Labs. And when you look at this kind of performance, like everyone and their dog always goes on about Strata and Spark and all this. But here, you're getting 13 times faster. Not one, not two, not 3 times. 13 times faster using this capability than Spark. So you're like, holy moly. And here's the capabilities you can do. So you know all the heavy math, which are now part of the popular machine learning algorithms and whatnot. You got forest, linear regression, prediction, so on and so forth. But it gets kind of exciting now when here, that's what we're talking about, the Redis Labs module. So now we have an open source on GitHub with source code being able to build out these modules in C. So let's go through them, what they have. We have decision trees. Now again, I'm not an expert at this. Random forest, linear regression, logistic regression, and matrix operations. Now, these capabilities are pretty solid. Again, the source code is available to play around with. And again, you can have this sit on top of your Redis in-memory database as a stream as the data comes in. And you can generate your trading signals. Pretty cool stuff. So essentially, I just want to highlight that where I think algorithms are now going to move out of being a separate process, but I do think over time that your trading algorithms, strategies, and whatnot, and the logic will be embedded right in the database itself as the data comes in. And I think this is probably something that's already being done, being developed on, but nobody's talking about it. I bet you dollars to donuts, I'm right about that. as HFT becomes more critical, using machine learning to get the next generation of profits, that we, the retail traders, fight over crumbs. These are probably what the guys are doing, because it's all in C, and so on and so forth. Other than that, I'll talk to you later.